All right, this is MEC 160 Lab 4 Part 2. This is my setup where I have a system that blinks 5 times, and then the other light will switch over and stay steady for 7 seconds, and then it will repeat that ad infinitum. One quirk to my setup is that I need to press the lower button and then the top button to initiate it after I start the PLC, and I'll explain that once we go to look at the code. All right, and as you can see, it's looping around just fine. Now on to the code. This is my code. It is 4 lines of ladder logic using 1 timer and 1 counter. Once the code is started, the LED is turned on using an off delay timer. The timer value of TD1 is used to coordinate the on and off sequences for all other lights in the circuit after that. In order to create the yellow light loop, I set it so that whenever the TD value equals 2, it will reset back to 0. This would cause the yellow light to blink in an infinite loop if it wasn't for the counter that stops it after 5 blinks. Once the loop is broken by the counter, it's able to finish seconds 2 to 10. Between seconds 2 and 9, the blue light is on, and that second 10, it resets the counter to continue the loop for the yellow light. This is a great logical breakdown of how my lab works. I'm not going to go over it because I just talked about it, but if you want to take a look at it, feel free to pause the video. Now, lastly, the quirk I mentioned at the beginning, where I have to press both buttons to start the circuit. I noticed that I have to add a button press in order to start the circuit rolling. This would start the timer for the first time and start the loop that makes it continuously blink. The problem here, with a single button press, when I tested it, it would cause the yellow light to blink 4 times before moving on to the blue light. This is partly caused by the counter always remembering where it was at, whether the program has been flipped from start to run, or even sometimes when you reload the program from the computer to the PLC, I've noticed it will still retain a value there. So when you start up the program and run it, it will blink a random number of times in the first iteration. So that's why the lower switch resets the counter. Now, I would have the button reset both start the circuit and reset the counter simultaneously, but that causes the light to blink 6 times in the first iteration. The reason for this is it doesn't count the first button press because it's simultaneously blinking the light and resetting the counter, so that first flash isn't counted, which gives you 6 counters at the very first iteration every time. So I have 2 separate buttons. The bottom button resets the counter and the top button starts the circuit. If you have any feedback on how I can improve my code, I would love to hear it. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for watching.